Coming up on 5 Minute News. Biden picks Kamala Harris as running mate. Protests in Belarus continue despite challengers' departure. And scientists uneasy as Russia approves first coronavirus vaccine. It's Wednesday, August 12. I'm Anthony Davis. Joe Biden named California Senator Kamala Harris as his running mate on Tuesday, making history by selecting the first black woman to compete on a major party's presidential ticket and acknowledging the vital role black voters will play in his bid to defeat President Donald Trump. Born to a Jamaican father and Indian mother, the 55-year-old first-term senator is one of the party's most prominent figures. She quickly became a top contender for the number 2 spot after her own White House campaign ended. In a tweet, Biden called Harris a fearless fighter for the little guy and one of the country's finest public servants. Together, with you, we're going to beat Trump, he said. Trump's failed handling of the coronavirus crisis has given Biden an opening, and he enters the fall campaign in a strong position against the president as the economy enters recession and coronavirus deaths top 160,000. In adding Harris to the ticket, he can point to her relatively centrist record on issues such as healthcare and her background in law enforcement in the nation's largest state. The vice presidential pick carries increased significance this year. If elected, Biden would be 78 when he's inaugurated in January, the oldest man to ever assume the presidency. He's spoken of himself as a transitional figure and hasn't fully committed to seeking a second term in 2024. If he declines to do so, his running mate would likely become a frontrunner for the nomination that year. Harris won her first election in 2003 when she became San Francisco's district attorney. After being elected to the Senate in 2016, she quickly gained attention for her assertive questioning of Trump administration officials during congressional hearings. Harris was also close with Biden's late son, Beau, who served as Delaware Attorney General while she held the same post in California. The top opposition candidate in Belarus's presidential election left for Lithuania on Tuesday, but anti-government demonstrators still turned out for a third straight night to protest the vote results, despite a massive police crackdown that prompted a warning of possible European Union sanctions. Hundreds of people took to the streets of Minsk and several other cities on Tuesday evening. Clashes between the protesters and police using stun grenades and rubber bullets to disperse the crowds continued well into the night. Earlier on Tuesday, 37-year-old Sviatlana Sikhanouskaya, a former English teacher who entered the race after her husband's jailing in Belarus, apologized to her backers in a video statement and said it was her own choice to leave the country. The statements marked an abrupt about-face, hours after she dismissed the official results on Sunday's election that showed President Alexander Lukashenko winning a 6th term with a landslide 80% of the vote and her getting just 10%. Her campaign aide said she made the unexpected moves under duress. Her husband, an opposition blogger who had hoped to run for president, has been jailed since his arrest in May. The authoritarian Lukashenko, who has ruled the ex-Soviet nation of 9.5 million with an iron fist since 1994, has derided the opposition as sheep manipulated by foreign masters and vowed to continue taking a tough position on protests despite Western rebukes over the election. As the internet has remained down across the country for a third straight day, in what appears to be an attempt by the authorities to make it harder for protests to coordinate their efforts, thousands of Belarusians have struggled to find out what has happened to their missing relatives. The crackdown drew harsh criticism from the European Union and the United States. EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell said the elections were neither free nor fair and called on Minsk to begin a dialogue with society to avoid further violence. Russia has become the first country to approve a coronavirus vaccine. a move that was met with international skepticism and unease because the shots have only been studied in dozens of people. President Vladimir Putin announced the health ministry's approval and said one of his 2 adult daughters was already inoculated. He said the vaccine underwent the necessary tests and was shown to provide lasting immunity to the coronavirus, although Russian authorities have offered no proof to back up their claims of safety or effectiveness. By comparison, vaccines entering final stage testing in the US require studies of 30,000 people each. 2 vaccine candidates already have begun those huge studies, with 3 more set to get underway by the fall. The vaccine, developed by the Gamaleya Institute in Moscow with assistance from Russia's defense ministry, uses a different virus, the common cold-causing adenovirus, that's been modified to carry genes for the spike protein that coats the coronavirus as a way to prime the body to recognize if a real COVID-19 infection comes along. That is similar technology to vaccines being developed by China's CanSino Biologics and Britain's Oxford University and AstraZeneca. But unlike those companies, Russian scientists haven't published any scientific information about how the vaccine has performed in animal tests or in early-stage human studies. You can subscribe to 5-Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5-Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Visit us online at 5minute.news. 5-Minute News is an independent production covering politics, inequality, health, and climate, delivering unbiased, verified, and truthful world news daily.